I feel like this doesn't get spoken about enough, but it's new construction homes, okay? They are trash, bro.
Do not buy new construction.
I hate new construction homes, and here's why.
I'll be the first one to tell you, buying a house is rough. If you've taken a look at the markets to buy yourself and yours a nice little abode, you might notice it's awfully expensive. Not like cut back on coffee expensive, I'm talking rethink your entire life plan expensive. Ridiculously. With the rise of influencers in every niche and space of our everyday lives, I'd say right about now is the scariest time to get into the housing market. Back in the 80s and 90s, your parents and grandparents had a ball buying up as much property as they wanted because, hey, the bank was just giving those loans away. But the day of reckoning came on September 29th, 2008, better known as the '08 crash. For you youngins out there, all you need to know is that the big banks started tightening that belt. No more lending to dear old mom and dad. Bad times. And to this day, millennials, Gen Zers, and heck, everyone else after is left picking up the pieces. Yes, sir. Today, we're talking about houses. If you ask anyone in your family over the age of 50 what you should do to buy a house, most likely the answer will be something along the lines of,
you just gotta pick yourself up by your bootstraps, work hard, and save every penny.
And maybe that's the most frustrating part of all this, because for older generations, buying a house was seen as a milestone. You reached it by doing the right things. You go to school, you got a job, you save your money, you buy a house. Only were that easy. But for a lot of people today, that path feels broken. You can do everything right and still be priced out. You can save for years, watching the goalpost move faster and faster than you can blink. And after a while, people stop chasing that dream. Back in the golden age of house buying in the 60s and 70s, back when discotheque was the rage, you could comfortably afford a 3-bedroom house with a nice garage, full family car, and heck, maybe even send one of your little tykes to college. All this on a grocery store manager's salary. What? But try the same life steps today and you'll be hard-pressed to find any grocery employees being able to afford much of anything. Houses back then came in at average price of $12,000 to $27,000, being only 3 times the median household income of $5,620. Isn't that crazy? A cost that you could comfortably afford a home to raise your family in. But nowadays, those very same homes are being resold for $400,000 to $800,000. Oh, but what's that? What are you saying? You don't want to buy an old building? And you're looking at new builds? Man, get out of here. Good luck with new build properties being in a multitude of other problems like shoddy construction due to strict budget times, to poor layout design because, hey, they're not using the best employees. As many commentators have said, just because it's new doesn't mean it's reliable. This has actually brought about an entire ecosystem of content creators that inspect houses and show them a multitude of problems with new construction. Just like TikTok. But that's not all. Finding a house is just the first step. With the average homeowner's age now being closer to 40 than it was to 25, every time you find a new place to tour, you better believe it's a free-for-all bidding war. From newlyweds to grandparents, you'll be fighting tooth and nail just to get considered to buy a home. And that reminds me, when me and my family were looking for a home, we checked out this place that had a full detail of police cars outside, just to route traffic there. No one could even fit in the damn place when we finally got in, and it stank to high hell. Once we got inside, we left, and as soon as we got to the next place on our list, half the people that were at the last one were already there. And that was for a starter home, a modest starter home at that. If you're in a higher end property place with companies like Invitation Homes, Progress Residential, and Tricon Residential, these are private equity backed corporations that are purchasing single family homes and turning them into rental properties. As many a video game company has said, you'll own nothing and you'll like it. And sure, it's easy to blame these companies, and they absolutely play a role, but they're not the whole story. A big part of this crisis is something much less flashy: your local government. For years, cities across the US have built less housing than people actually need. Zoning laws restrict multifamily units like 3-deckers or double family homes, and neighborhoods fight new developments. And suddenly you've got more people chasing fewer homes. This is just basic economics. There's a higher demand and a lower supply. Prices go up, and the big banks stay happy. Christ, man, the world feels so depressing. It feels like 2077 with all these corporations running around. But let's say you do get lucky. Let's say you find a nice home in a cute little suburb, right, with a nice little white picket fence and all that. Have you won yet? No. The life of a homeowner is wrought with problems in itself. If you live up north and you forgot to put heating cables on your pipes, well, guess what, buddy? You just got yourself a brand new pool in the basement.
Huh?
It's flooding. The basement's flooding. Are you living down south and did you forget to turn off all the lights and excess AC usage? Well, congrats, man. You get to pay 2 times your mortgage payment this month in electric bills. Did you forget to read your contract and realize too late you live in an HOA? Oh boy. You've messed up, man. HOAs are one of the worst inventions in the course of human history since asbestos. If you don't know, HOA or homeowners associations are evil and they're run by the devil. They usually consist of people that live in your very neighborhood, defining and dictating how things should be run. Now, don't get me wrong. In principle, it makes sense. They want the neighborhood to look nice and have a peaceful environment for everybody. And I mean, hey, if your neighbor Carl decides that his house would look great with some polka dots and be an eyesore to the entire community, I mean, damn, dude, he's bringing all the property values down. But at the end of the day, it's his house. Does the HOA really have the authority to say anything about what he purchased with his money? No, of course not. Screw HOAs. And HOAs have actually brought about a special pettiness out, and you'll see a lot of crazy stories about them. But a lot of people have actually avoided this, and this shift has started to focus to alternative living arrangements, seeing the nuclear family lifestyle as outdated and out of reach. This mindset has brought about different avenues with the rise of tiny homes, a concept that was heavily mocked when it first came about. Now it's become a pretty viable alternative for those seeking just the essential, right? Another one is van life, once regarded as just living out of your car like my bro college days. Now has become a sprawling world of new content creators that show how they live out of their mobile homes while exploring the country on the road. And more recently, gaining popularity, something that I didn't even know about, is hotel hopping. The act of using hotels for long-term living instead of renting or owning outright. I'm even pushing this thought process further, such as a couple out in Pennsylvania who's gone viral for living out of a storage unit using a tent, a mattress, and a not so legal power usage. But these trends come with a multitude of struggles of their own. Many van lifers complaining about the risk of robbery while camping out in the nearest Walmart parking lot. The cramped spaces of tiny homes from a lot of early adopters who didn't really get the best deal. And even hotel hoppers have admitted that not all the spots are very nice, with a lot of them being in high criminal populated areas. Which is why all these alternative lifestyles, they aren't just trends, right? They're adaptations. Tiny homes, van life, co-living spaces. They're not just aesthetic choices for social media, they're people trying to regain control over a system that just feels out of reach. The big 2-6 just isn't accommodating to the everyday Joe or Jane anymore, and we're seeing that things just aren't getting better. Every option comes with a trade-off. Freedom versus stability, mobility versus security, ownership versus flexibility. There's no perfect solution anymore, just different sprinklings of flavors of compromise. For decades, the house, the suburban home, the white picket fence, that was the goal. That was the American dream. That was the symbol. You made it. Now, for a growing number of people, making it might just mean not being buried in rent for the month. As of May of 2026, the analysts strongly believe that the Fed won't be cutting rates anytime soon. But what does that mean? That sky-high priced houses are simply out of reach for a lot of people. And this is where things start to get really, really sad. Back when rates were low, like during the, 2020 to 2021, people were locking in mortgages at 2 to 3%. That's historically cheap, especially in the last decade or so. You're looking at rates nowadays closer to 6 to 7%. That means even if the price of the house hasn't doubled, like in many areas it has, your monthly payment basically has. So now homeowners are stuck. They don't want to lose and sell their house with all these low rates that they originally got, which means fewer houses hit the market, which means prices stay high. And just like that, you've got a housing market that's frozen. And what's worse is that the very people selling you the houses are intentionally blind to it. Much like car salesmen, many real estate influencers will show you broken down homes in their posts talking about how they can't believe this place is still on the market and how much amazing potential is in this property, despite the fact that these places need thousands of hours of work and thousands of dollars in order to make it somewhat livable. This popularity has gone so far as to spark a new interest in streaming services with retail properties. Over the last few years, shows like Selling Sunset, Owning Manhattan, and Buying Beverly Hills. They don't just entertain, they sell this fantasy where they're all $6 million figure commissions, right? Every client's a celebrity and every home has a big wine cellar that's bigger than your apartment. But what they don't show you is the other side of that market. They don't show you the 15 rejected offers. They don't show the people waiving inspections just to stay competitive. They don't show you someone draining their entire savings just to barely qualify. And that's because that version doesn't sell. It's not sexy, it's sad, it's depressing. And although obviously these shows are much more luxurious with their properties, these shows like to depict the over-dramatized lives of real estate agents and all the dark and moody events that happen through them and through their property sales. From drugs to infighting. It's the kind of dirty daytime television any wine mom can get behind. Yeah, it's tough out here in the trenches. Take it from me. I'm moving out soon, and the only thing on my mind is, what on earth is escrow? I've read so much about it and I still don't really get it. Either way, one thing's for sure, this ain't your pappy's housing market anymore. Anyway, take it easy, guys. I'll see you guys next time at the Mortiz House.